NTV Akawungeezi tuteredde ku mmanga y'eryato tuligobe tukire ku balunnyanja. Mwebale kutwegattako munnange Mukembuga tabeera na lubuto abeera na ttu. Kumpi naffe tusitudde mu galeero tegalimu mbwabwa yadde nkubuggu. Mutukoze bulungi bannange, tugenda kutandika naye katusooke tufune ebikulu. Okukulupya ssente za siriimu n'okugema abaana. Alice Kabo yakkiriza emisango atanziddwa obukadde 20. Jim Muhwezi, Mike Mukula ne Dr. Alex Kamugisha be basigadde ku misango.
Kati tetugamba tulina okulaba lwaki tetufunayo etteeka ery'amaanyi nnyo ng'olaba China omuntu bw'afiiriza gavumenti bakola ki bamuteeka ku kalaba.
Tewali kuzanyira ku mafuta. Ababaka bataddewo ebibonerezo ebikakali kuba n'ekomya ssente ziva mu mafuta. Okunoonyereza ku Godfrey Nyakana kuwedde. Enkyatwalibwa mu kkooti yewozeeko ku by'okukuba wa poliisi. Mu mizannyo ez'okusunsula abaneetaba mu kikopo kya Africa zeyinda, Congo Brazzaville etuuka lwakuna, Uganda Cranes eri bulindaala. Nkwaniriza ku NTV Akawungeezi, nze Frank Alisimbi. Tusoose n'amawulire okuva mu kkooti ewozesa emisango gy'enguzi n'obukulupya. Alice Kaboyo avunaanibwa n'abaali ba minisita b'ebyobulamu mu akkiriza emisango gy'obubbi n'obukulupya okujinga ebiwandiiko n'okukozesa obubi office. Ebyo byonna waggulu byavaako gavumenti okufiira obukadde bwa siringi 1,600. Kaboyo atanziddwa obukadde bwa siringi 20 obw'okusibwa emyaka 8. Akkiriza okusasula ssente. Ye Jim Muhwezi, Mike Mukula ne Dr. Alice Kamugisha bakyeyongerayo n'omusango guno ogwa ssente za gavi ogumaze emyaka 16 mu kkooti.
Olunaku lwa jjo emisango gy'abantu bano gyazzeemu oluvannyuma lw'emyaka 16 nga giyimiridde. Abajulizi batandikidde we baakoma mu 2007. Okusooka mu 2007 Muhwezi ne banne bawakanya omulamuzi asookerwako Margaret Tibulya okubawozesa nga bagamba nti talina buyinza. Ekyo bwe kyagaana ne bawakanya kaliisoliiso wa gavumenti nga naye bagamba nti talina buyinza kubaggulako misango. Ekyo nakyo bwe kyalemye kwe kutandika okuwozesebwa nate. Jjo abajulizi 3 be bazze mu kkooti. Lawyer wa kaliisoliiso Sidney Asubo yabadde ayagala kwongera abajulizi kyokka bapulidda ba Muhwezi ne bakiwakanya nga baagala kwekenneenya abajulizi bano bye baagala okubuulira kkooti. Bwe batyo kkooti yabawadde okutuusa leero ku makya. Olutuuse mu kkooti, Oscar Kambona pulidda wa Alice Kaboyo eyali omuyambi mu State House n'asaba kkooti eganye omuntu we aggyewo eky'okwegaana emisango. Kaboyo akkiriza nti kituufu yenyigira mu kubba okujinga ebiwandiiko n'okwekomya ekitundu ku bukadde bwa siringi 1,600 ezaali ez'okugema abaana. Buli gumu ku misango gino guliko engasi ya bukadde 5 oba okusibwa emyaka 2. Akkiriza n'asasula obukadde 20. Muhwezi, Mukula ne Kamugisha be basigadde ku misango gino kyokka balabise nga tebaterebuse olwa munnaabwe ono okugikkiriza ate nga bonna baali bajeeganye emyaka 6 egiyise. Kaliisoliiso wakwongera okuleeta abajulizi.
NTV Akawungeezi. Ababaka mu Parliament abatuula ku kakiiko akavunaanyizibwa ku bugagga obw'ensibo batandise okulaga nga bwe batagenda kuddiramu bantu bali banguzi n'abo ababba ssente z'eggwanga. Abakulu bano bateesezaawo okuteekawo ebibonerezo ebikakali eri oyo yenna anaakolanga endagaano z'amafuta ne zivaako gavumenti okufiirwa ssente. Baagala ebimu ku bibonerezo ebiweebwa abantu nga bano mubeeremu n'ekyokuwanikibwa ku kalabba nti osanga mu ngeri eyo Uganda lweneggwamu abeekomya ssente zitali zaabwe.
Laba China omuntu bw'afiiriza gavumenti bakola ki bamuteeka ku kalabba. naye wano e Uganda omuntu akimanyi nti bwenfiiriza gavumenti ekibiinyo nyinza okufiirwa omulimu gwange nenvaawo.
Embeera nayo okubonereza abagufudde omuze okwekomya ensimbi za gavumenti abaka gye baagala okusalira amagezi nga bateekawo ebibonerezo ebikakali.
Okuteekako omukono ku kiragaana ekireetera Abannayuganda okuviiramu awo era ne bafiirirwa nnyo, ne tugamba nti omuntu oyo alina okuteekwa ku kalaba.
Gavumenti okufiirwa ebintu ebikwatagana n'ebiva mu mafuta nga ssente n'ebirala balina okukolebwako n'amaanyi agasingira ddala obungi oba obunene okulaba nti bakolwako ng'amateeka nga bwe kinaasoboka okuziyiza abantu abo abalala abanaakola okuleetawo enfiirwa, gavumenti okufiirwa ebintu ebikwatagana ne ssente eziva mu mafuta oba n'ebyo ebirungi ebiva mu mafuta.
Abaka bagamba nti kisangiddwa nga amateeka galiwo ensangi zino mangi kugoga mu kubya byayi nga n'olwekyo ababbye ssente za gavumenti kyangu nnyo okugayitako. Amateeka gano ge balowoozaako baagala gayongere ku bintu ebirala galeme kukoma ku mafuta gokka.
Enguzi teri mu mafuta gokka. Mu bitongole bya gavumenti bingi mulimu enguzi. Osanga mu byenjigiriza mulimu enguzi, bwogenda mu byobulamu health mulimu enguzi, bwogenda mu local government mulimu enguzi, ebintu bingi, so si mu byamafuta byokka. Kakati ekirowoozo kyaffe tulowooza nti bwe tukireeta mu parliament yonna tusuubira nti bannaffe bajja kukitwala nga kikulu kubanga tufiiriddwa ssente nyingi
era nga n'amateeka ganaagaliwo tulabye nti tegayamba okulaba nti ababbi abakola ebintu ebibi nitufiirwa nga Abannayuganda ne bafuna ssente nyingi ne balyoka ne bakozesa ensimbi ezo ne bagula balooya abalina obukugu obw'amaanyi era nga n'amateeka nga balaba nga tegali malungi ne baviiramu awo ne bagenda ate nga ffe Abannayuganda tukoze ki tufiiriddwa.
Ababaka ku kakiiko akavunaanyizibwa ku by'obugagga by'omu ttaka babadde beekennenya ebbaga erikwatagana kusima amafuta okugalongoosa eri omwaka guno.
Weewaawo be bamu ku babaka abo abatuula akakiiko akakola ku bugagga obw'ensibo. Olabira amawulire gano waliwo abagwira na 8 abalina ab'obuyinza mu kiseera kino babanyumiza bwe batuuka okwesuula mu ddene ne bamala baggukira mu Uganda. Ekikwekweto ekiyodde bano kikoleddwa olwaleero mu bifo eby'enjawulo mu Kampala. Abantu bano batusangiddwa nga baliko emirimu gye bakola naye nga tebalina bisaanyizo. Bwe batannyonnyola ennyo ekigenda ewala oba okumatiza bekikwatako banditeekebwa ku nnyonyi enerabikawo amangu ebazzeeyo gye bava.
Kino kyekifo abakwate we bakuŋŋaanyiziddwa okulondobamu abo abatalina bisaanyizo balabe eri abaleeta. Akulidde ekikwekweto kino agambye nti baatandise enkya ya leero era we buwongeeredde nga 8 bakwate.
Operation eno gye tukola ya bulijjo routine ate ekavalinga country yonna sigamba tutagitinga Kampala yokka kujja kola most of up country yonna twagimaze kati tuli mu Kampala.
Abatalina biwandiiko bakusula mu kaduukulu ka poliisi ssaako n'abo abatasobodde kukolebwako olunaku lwa leero okutuusa olunaku lw'enkya.
Wetwogerera tukola ki tuscreeninga okufunamu abalina empapula entuufu, documents entuufu, passports entuufu, then tulabe abatalina ki documents entuufu tubazeeyo.
Kyokera ebya bano tebinnaggwa kubanga singa guno abakamuvi boolekedde okuvunaanibwa ebibonerezo eby'enjawulo omuli okutanzibwa engasi ya $3 buli lunaku okuva lwe bajja kuno ssaako okuzzibwayo ewaabwe.
Wabeerawo okusasula fayini $3 buli lunaku olwoba obutukusanga ng'okola tolina ki mpapula entuufu saagire okuzaayo.
Tutegezeddwa nti mu bakwate mubaddemu abo ababadde batuuse kuno olunaku lw'eggulo kyokka nga bafunyedde emirimu naye nga kino minisitule y'ensonga ez'omunda egamba nti kyali kyadibizibwa dda.
Naye ekiragiro ekipya ekiriwo kigamba nti bwe bayagala okukolera mu Uganda osaba olukusaba okukolera mu Uganda ng'okyali bwe ng'otanayingira.
Bukyanga omwaka guno gutandika Ministry y'ensonga z'omunda yakakwata abagwira 320 nga 166 baddizibwayo ewaabwe nga tebalina bisaanyizo. Abasuubuzi bangi babadde nga bakukuluma nga bagamba nti abagwira bangi abakola emirimu bo gye bandikoze omuli n'okutunda kabalagala. Dini Lubowa Sava, NTV Akawungeezi.
NTV Akawungeezi. Poliisi etubulidde nti eriko wetuuse mu kubuuliriza ku ttiimu eryakoleddwa e Gomba abantu 9 bwe battiddwa ne bakumwako omuliro mu nnyumba yaabwe. Ebiriwo byetoolera nnyo okw'omu ku booluganda b'abagenzi atanaba kumanyibwa gye yeekukumi.
Mwami Wakooli William ow'oluganda w'omugenzi yandibanga alina akakwate kanene mu kutta abantu bano, okwokya n'okutta abantu bano, era tumunoonya era ali wanted.
Wakooli ono akyasongeddwamu olune lw'okukola ettemu lino kigambibwa nti abadde alina obutakkaanya ne muganda we William Bagoma kati omugenzi ng'entabwe eva ku ttaka. Omusajja ono akyalira ku nsiko kyokka nga poliisi eteebereza nti yandibanga yamazeemu dda omusubi n'addukira ku muliraano e Kenya.
Naye nga tusuubira nti ayinza okubeera mu Uganda muno nga yeekwese neba n'abeera e Kenya era tujja mukwata. Tujja kukozesa mekanizimu zonna zitulina nga poliisi tumukwata.
Waliwo n'olugambo olulala olubadde lutandise okubungesebwa nti omusajja ono yandibanga naye yejje mu budde oluvannyuma lw'okwokya banne, kyokka bino nabyo poliisi ebisambazze.
Sirowooza nti mufu kubanga era byayise nti bwokyali awo yafudde, kubanga mu lusuku mu mwanyi twasanze ebikopo n'obuntu obuveera era twabututte. Abaasoose batebereza nti bwokyali awo yeewadde obutwa, naye tetunafuna information okuva government chemist nti mwabaddemu obutwa. Kati ffe tusuubira nti yatemudde ate naddayo gy'ava eruuyi Kenya.
Poliisi esabye oyo yenna aliko kyamanyi ku ttemu eryabadde ekasiba mu Gomba okuvaayo agiyambeko mu kunoonyereza n'okutuuka ku kalittima eyakoze ekikolwa kino.
Poliisi mu Kampala erinze kutwala Godfrey Nyakana mu kooti annyonnyole yamulagira okudda kuwa poliisi n'amukuba eŋŋuumi. Nyakana ono yakulira gombolola ya Kampala. Teyeyanjudde nga bwe yalagiddwa kyokka poliisi etubuulidde nti eragidde yenna amulabako amujjukize nti enkya yeetaagibwa mu kooti.
Tumaliriza okunoonyereza kwaffe okukwata ku kukuba omusirikale ayitibwa Kambale Isaac eyakubibwa nga 7 omwezi ogwokutaano Katwe bwe yali akola emirimu gye nga yakubibwa meya wa Kampala Central Division Mr. Godfrey Nyakana. Bino byaliwo oluvannyuma lw'okusangibwa nga yali avuga muloka Katwe naye nga agivugira ku opposite side gy'atalina kuvugira. Abasirikale bwe bamuyimiriza abaali bakola ku ntambula y'ebidduka yasalawo n'apakinga wakati mu kkubo n'aziyiza muloka ezitambula okutambula, ekyawaliriza abasirikale okujja enamba ku muloka gye yali avuga. Ne bwe yalaba nga bagijjeeko enamba n'ava mu muloka n'atandika okuba omusirikale, ne bakanyama be batambula nabo ne bamujoininga ne balumya omusirikale bya nsusso, era omusirikale yali admitted, yali ku kitanda wiki namba. Okunoonyereza kukwawedde era fayiro netwalibwa wa DPP. DPP n'agisanctioninga nga yavunaaniddwa omusango ogw'okuba omusirikale n'okumulumya nga ate ali ku mirimu gye, era awenjogerera tumutuukiridde asobole okujja ku poliisi tumutegeeze okunoonyereza we kutuuse nakyo kigenda mu maaso. Bw'anaaba tazze fayiro ejja kutwalibwa enkya mu kooti, era oluvannyuma tujja kufuna engeri gye tusobola omufunamu atandike okuwenemba n'omusango guno gwe yazza.
Ibn Senkumbi omwogezi wa poliisi mu Kampala n'emirirano. Tukyagenda maaso ne NTV Akawungeezi essaawa eri 1:14 tukomawo n'ekitundu ekyokubiri. Ettima Imukono omwana wa mwaka gumu asuuliddwa mu fulejje, nyina amuleseeko nnamba ya ssimu. Okulonda yeishaka kale Kayihura alabudde abakozi b'effujjo.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
NTV Akawungeezi katugende mu maaso. Ssenkulu wa poliisi Lieutenant General Kale Kayihura agumbye Bushenyi okulaba nga okulonda kw'enkya mu municipal ya Ishaka kugenda bulungi. Kayihura alabudde abateekateeka okukola effujjo. Bo ab'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda batubulidde nti beetegese bulungi era ebikola babifunye dda.
nga ebule sawa mbale abantu mu municipal ya Ishaka mu district ya Bushenyi okulonda n'abakiikira mu parliament. Ssenkulu wa police Lieutenant General Kale Kayihura alabudde abantu abateekateeka okutataganya okulonda kw'enkya nti si wa kulonzalonza kubagomba mu bwala.
Twagala abantu ba expressinge wiri yaabwe ono uge twagala fulire nga tero abatiisa ola abagula oba abagula kubagula nti kati ogenze ku wali otiisa abantu nja kukwekwaatira nze ng'omuntu.
Kihula agamba nti poliisi efunye okumanyisibwa nga waliwo abavubuka baleeteddwa okuva mu bitundu by'eggwanga ebirala n'ekigendererwa eky'okutaataganya wamu n'okutiisatiisa abantu nga balonda.
Naddala njagala mpabule abavubuka muleme kukozesebwa kubanga bwe mujja kugenda ruzira.
Mu kiseera kino ssenkulu wa poliisi agumbye mu kitundu kino okwekenneenya ebyokwerinda.
Ngenda kutambula wano mbalabe abatiisatiisa ejjinja mbalabe batiisatiise wano.
Abantu banabe bali mu lwokaano nga kuno kuliko munna NRM Nassa basajja balaba owa FDC Odo Tayebwa, Robert Bwarare ne Ismail Kikure nga bano bombi beesimbyewo ku lwabwe. Ebifo 33 bye bigenda okulondebwamu so nga abantu 22,251 be basuubira okwetaba mu kulonda kuno.
We have gone through processes to make sure that we do as a commission what is required of us. That is to conduct free and fair elections.
Mu mwezi gw'okutaano kkooti ejulirwamu mu Kampala yasazaamu okulondebwa kwa Nassa basajja balaba oluvannyuma lwa munna FDC Odo Tayebwa okwekubira enduulu ng'alumiriza basajja balaba okugulirira abalonzi bwe yawangula akalulu mu mwezi gw'okubiri mu mwaka oguwedde. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
Senkandwa agumbye mu ishake ajja kubaatuwa ebirala ebisingawo ebyokulonda erudde eyo mubeere banywevu tujja kubibawa mu bujjuvu. Ab'obuyinza ku kyalo Nasuuti okuliraana ttawuni y'e Mukono batandise dda okunoonya omukazi oba omusajja yagenze n'asiba omwana omwaka ogumu gwokka mu kadeeya n'amusula mu mufuleje. Omwana yalekeddwako ennamba y'essimu kyokka abakubye ku ssimu eno agikuta abuulidde nti ye eby'omwana tabimanyi.
Omwana ono ow'obuwala ateeberezebwa okuba ow'omwaka ogumu alabiddwa bayise ku kyalo Nasuuti oluvannyuma lw'okukabira mu kadeeya mw'abadde asoose omufulejje. Kyokka wadde ng'omwana ono abadde asuuliddwa n'obubwe bwonna, Kamusuula amutaddeko ennamba y'essimu ebadde ewandiikiddwa kapapula ab'enganda ze kwe basobola okumufunira. Wabula ennamba eno bw'ekubiddwa agikutte alabise ng'eby'omwana ono tabimanyi.
Muzekisagajja n'akebera akaveera bageze okusanyukula nga mulimu mwana naye amutute teryamulabye. Nsanze omwana ng'akaaba badde mita nga 10 kuva bamusuulidde agati mu kuyitawo bwe badde mbayipaasinga endaba omwana abakuze ekyannaku nnyo okulaba bannayuganda zekweyisa mu mbeera eyo.
Ennamba y'essimu ngikubyeko nenjogera n'omuntu naye ng'eddoboozi lya musajja ng'alabika ye tamanyi kikigenda mu maaso.
Era wano abazira kisa balabiddwako nga buli omu awaayo kyasobola okugabirira omwana ono ali mu kaseera akazibu. Wabula abatuuze balaze obutali bumativu bwabwe eri poliisi eruddewo okutuuka so ng'eyitiddwa enfunda eziwera.
Omwana obudde bw'amase wano buwanvu nnyo so twagikubidde eddakati n'essaawa 10 ziweze.
Era wano abamu ku bazira kisa balabiddwako nga batwala omwana ono ku poliisi agire ng'abeera eyo okutuusa ab'enganda ze lwe banaalabika.
Bibadde Nasuuti e Mukono. Aba Uganda Registration Services Bureau bakuutidde abasiraamu abafumbo ku mugaso gw'okwewandiisa mu bufumbo ng'amateeka bwe galagira. Abakyala abasiraamu bo bagamba nti baagala certificate emu bawandiikibweko bana nga bbaabwe bwe yabawasa okusinga omusajja banaabagattikako omukazi omulala gwe batamanyi. Abalala abasiraamu bagambye nti kasita etteeka lya gavumenti litambulira ku busiraamu kye bulagira certificate ekakasa obufumbo tebagirinako buzibu.
Abamu ku bakyala abayisiraamu ekyokwewandiisa mu bufumbo mu mateeka ga gavumenti bakisanyukidde.
Kyenkubiriza abasiraamu tusigale nga tutunuulira butunuulizi. Ebisonga z'obusiraamu zikwatiddwako bulungi okusinga okuga nti ffe tetujja kibeeramu bwe tutaakibeeremu ffe tufiirizibwa ensi yo ng'esigale ng'ekyatambula.
Era ono omukyala ali ku kakiiko akakiikirira abakyala abasiraamu mu Luweero agambye nti etteeka ly'okuwandiisa abafumbo lirina okutunuulira abakyala abana nga be bokka abatwalibwa mu mateeka nga bannannyini musajja.
Naye olwaleero enkola ebaddewo babadde batuzannyira ku bwongo okugenda okutuuka ku ssaawa esembayo baga nti abakyala babano bali 8 kyokka ate ffenna nga tukireyiminga okuba nti tuli bakyala abasiraamu n'omwami waffe musiraamu twayingira mu bufumbo buno mu nkola ey'ekisiraamu n'ate nga kisusseewo.
Bo baagala certificate emu ng'eraga amannya g'abakyala abana okusinga buli omu okubeera n'eyiye.
Ayagala okufaayo okugamba nti nze nali mukyala Haji Gundi eyafa. Ajja kufaayo nga kuliko n'evidence nti kuliko n'abalala.
Certificate y'obufumbo yakugula emitwalo 3.5 eri buli mukyala era omwami omusiraamu awasa abakyala abana ajja kusasula mitwalo 14. Obukwakuliza obugaana abakristaayo okufumbiriganwa okugeza ng'okugattirwa mu kkanisa oba ekereziya etawandiisibwanga oba etetuukagana na mutindo gwetaagisa mwattu abasiraamu bo tebubakosa.
Muyinza kufula mu ddiiro lya gundi bikanyo tewetaaga nti ate waliwo omuzikiti wano naye omuzikiti guno gukkirizibwa abantu okufumbirwaganamu tekirimu. Fulas anyway you can sit kasita abantu abo abetaagiswa baba ebali.
Okukubaganya ebirowoozo kuno kugendereddwamu okumanyisa abasiraamu ku ddembe lyabwe naddala mu bufumbo n'engeri gye basobola okutambulira mu mateeka agafuga eggwanga awatali kukosa nzikiriza yaabwe. Florence Nalimba, NTV Akawungeezi.
NTV Akawungeezi. Speaker wa Parliament ya East Africa Umujja Margaret Ziwa akomyewo kuno okuva mu Arusha, Tanzania wakati musanyu n'obululu bakira obutasalako. Ziwono ye mukyala asoose okufuuka Speaker wa Parliament yeno. Tugenze okujja ku mpewo nga waliwo okusaba okwebaza Katonda olw'okutuusa Ziwono mu bintu.
Muna NRM Margaret Ziwa yali obwa Speaker bw'omukago gwa East Africa ayaniriziddwa abamu ku babaka banna aba East Africa wamu n'ababaka batonotono wano mu Parliament ya Uganda. Kati yali mubaka munne Nusrat Peru ne Krisopoka abamusemba okonola ogufo guno oba oli awo singa ddola bya Mukama yali masanyu gano. Kinajjukirwa nti mu kulonda okwali mu Arusha, Tanzania waliwo obunkenke oluvannyuma lw'okubuuza abamusemba nga tebalabikako kyokka oluvannyuma ne balabika. Ziwa yawangula bya Mukama n'obululu 3-3 ku bululu 12. Bano bombi ba NRM era nga waliwo endowooza mu kusooka nti bya Mukama yali awanduddwako eddusu ku lw'ekibiina. President Museveni avaayo n'ategeeza nti ekibiina kya NRM tekina gwe kyasalawo wabula Ziwa bw'abadde ayogerako eri bannamawulire ku kisaawe Entebbe atendereza obuwagizi obwamuweebwa President Museveni.
President waffe owa Uganda His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni olw'obuwagizi olw'okuwabula n'okuyimirira naffe kwe yatuwadde ng'ababaka be aba Uganda okugenda mu lukiiko lwa East African Legislative Assembly. Okulonda tekwali kwangu wane waffe Uganda ebigambo mwabiwulira.
Ziwa yeeyamye okwongera okutumbula enkolagana wakati w'amawanga ga East Africa wamu n'okutumbula ebyobusuubuzi mu mawanga gano Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda ne Burundi. Oluvannyuma abawagizi ba Ziwa babadde bamulindidde ebweru bamwaniriza mu mizira era n'ayingizibwa mu mmotoka kapyata ekika kya Benzi okwerekera Ogogo okumusabira. Margaret Ziwa kati nga ye Speaker w'amawanga ga East Africa atuukidde mu mizira wano mu kibuga Kampala era mu kwogera kwe yeeyamye okutumbula omukago guno. Jingo Francis, NTV Akawungeezi.
Tumulese tuvuddeyo n'obugambo obulala obusuuta. Tukyagenda maaso ne NTV Akawungeezi. Tukomawo n'ebyemizannyo beera naffe.
This is NTV. This is NTV. NTV. This is NTV.
Mu byemizannyo abazanyi ba Congo Brazzaville batuuka ku Lwokuna beetegekera bulungi okuzannya na Uganda Cranes ku Lwomukaaga e Nambole. Ku Lwokuna era balifaliyo okuva e Morocco abagenda okulamula omupiira guno lwe batuuka. Ande mwesigwa kapiteni wa Uganda Cranes agamba nti okujjako entaanya y'ettamenvu Uganda yakuteeba goolo 2.
Abakongo abasuubirwa okujjira mu nnyonyi empangise bakutuuka ku kisaawe Entebbe ku Lwokuna luno ku ssaawa 11 zennyini. Ne baddiifiri b'omupiira guno okuva mu ggwanga lya Morocco nabo lwe basuubirwa okutuuka mu ggwanga. Uganda yakuzannya ne Congo Brazzaville ku Lwomukaaga luno mu mupiira ogw'okuddingana mu mpaka ez'abaluubirira okuzannya mu Africa Cup of Nations ey'omwaka ogujja. Uganda yawangulwa mu mupiira ogwasooka goolo 3-1 naye nga ku luno omuduumizi wa ttiimu Ande Mwesigwa mugumu nti tewali kinaabalemesa okuteeba goolo ze beetaaga.
Tuzze tuteeba ekyo sure deal, tuzze tuteeba twakateesama emipiira ebiri nga tuteeba goolo, so ekyo positive gond impact eri ttiimu, so nsuubira ne ku saade tujja kuba tusobola okuteeba amagoolo. Twagala goolo 2, buli musambi akimanyi, buli muntu akimanyi, Nansi akimanyi, so nsuubira nti kyetugenda okukolako tulaye nga tuteeba amagoolo okuyitawo era nga tetukonsidinze.
Mu kiseera kino enkambi erimu ebbugumu oluvannyuma lwa buli muzannyi okuweebwa akakadde k'ensimbi olunaku lwa jjo ate ne basuubizibwa endala singa banawangula Congo. Sam Mpoza, NTV Akawungeezi.
Are you ready to drink? This is NTV.
NTV Akawungeezi. Ebyemizannyo nabyo weebityo webigenze eriemu n'eddakiika kumpi ya 32. Entebe ez'obudde tugenda kugireka lwa ddakiika kutulekawo naye nga wowe Kampala akasana olwaleero kaasi. Mbadde ku mukutu wano nga waliwo abangamba nti olulimi nga lukaayo, manyi olulimi lulinga ddagala, olumu libeeraawo nga terikaawa nnyo ate olumu ne tulunga okukaawa ne kweyongera. Mutandikwa nagambye nti amawulire temulimu mbwabwa. Embwabwa ge matooke g'eminwe amasuulemu nga tegayidde. Ne ngamba temuli nkubuggu. Enkubuggu ge mayuuni, lumonde oba muwogo atayidde. Sijja kusukkawo awo musule bulungi.
This is NTV.
Giraffe is named after the renowned British zoologist Lionel Walter Rothschild. It's the second most endangered giraffe subspecies with only a few hundred members. All of those that are living in the wild are in protected areas in Uganda and Kenya. The Rothschild giraffe have the basic appearance of other giraffe subspecies: long legs, a long neck with 7 elongated vertebrae, and a leopard-like coat. The base of the leg has spines which project upward and form a hump over the shoulders. They have ankle muscles that hold the neck upright. But they are taller, measuring up to 6 meters, ranking as the tallest of all mammals, with an adult male weighing up to 2,000 kilograms. A giraffe's heart can weigh up to 10 kilograms and measure about 60 centimeters in length. This is the only subspecies to be born with 5 horns. 2 of these are 4 horns on the top of the head, in common with all giraffes. The third horn can be often seen in the center of the giraffe's forehead and the other two behind each ear. Giraffes can inhabit savannas, grasslands, or open woodlands. They are herbivorous, preferring areas enriched with acacia growth. Their long legs are used to browse through leaves and drink large quantities of water. As a result, they can spend long periods of time in dry, arid areas without drinking. A giraffe can eat 63 kilograms of leaves in 3 daily. Giraffes have 4 stomachs just like cows, so their carb needs to travel all the way up their neck. They are sociable, violent animals with the female giraffes living in groups of a dozen or so members, including calves. Younger males tend to live in buffalo herds with older males often leading solitary lives. Unlike most mammals, giraffes walk using both legs from the same side of the body simultaneously. In a line, giraffes can move speeds of 40 to 36 miles per hour. The red-striped giraffes have a life expectancy of 20 to 30 years.
This is NTV.
This week on Rendezvous, we feature one of East Africa's most celebrated smooth jazz saxophonists. And find out which video has made it this week on the Rendezvous Countdown. His blending of jazz and inspirational music creates a meticulous flow of tone and balance to his performances. He plays both his tenor and soprano saxophones with a lot of spirit. Today on Rendezvous, we give you an up-close of Isaiah Katuma, a brilliant saxophonist, composer, and one of East Africa's most prominent jazz players. Isaiah's style of music comes from his early exposure to the rich blend of cultures within the Ugandan society, ranging from traditional music to church hymns. Born into a musical family, Isaiah Katuma demonstrated an early fascination with music. His guardian Mugera Washington, whom he still refers to as uncle, nurtured this interest and taught him how to play many instruments. When he was about 12 years of age, he began playing the saxophone, and that marked the beginning of his love affair with the instrument, and thus his interest in jazz started to grow.
I was doing trumpet, I was doing keyboard, I was doing the bass guitar, I was doing the rhythm guitar, and I also did a bit of trombone. I was doing a lot of things within You know, so sometimes I'm learning the saxophone, but I'm playing the trumpet on, you know. So I can't particularly say I learned it at this age, but it's around that time, around 10, 12, 15, because also the confidence where I can say I'm a saxophonist. I started by 3 notes and then 7 notes, and you know, stuff, because I can't say I had a teacher. Growing up as a child, it was a bit painful, and the only hope and joy I had was in my books and my music, and I had no choice. But I think it worked out for good, because I ended up learning instruments, singing, doing a lot of dancing, and look where I've got, you know. So I think it's it had to do with a lot of misfortunes, but I've worked out for good.
Isaiah started out by composing his own music and pretty soon launched his professional music career as a jazz player to be contended with.
My styles are different. I like doing styles that I reflect me as an African, that speak of my location or my identity as East African. And I like to, of course, generally speaking, African really. I like songs that talk about me as a Christian, and I love songs that bring the jazz out of me. I mean, I love jazz, you can't deny that. So all the elements, I just love something that can actually reflect that. If it doesn't reflect the African in me, it will reflect Jesus. If it doesn't reflect Jesus, it's going to have some smooth jazz kind of sound.
He has created a nook for himself on the Ugandan classical music scene and has long been the musician many jazz fans listen to with relish. Isaiah Katuma has become a Ugandan jazz household name as his extraordinary sense of rhythm manifested by a tight rhythmic approach along with song-oriented compositions make his music a complete and satisfying experience.
I've got a friend who was writing a lot of good music, and I thought that because he won't do it, he was writing saxophone music, but he's not actually into doing it, you know, because he's not playing saxophone. So I thought, besides doing my own stuff, I could, you know, do his stuff as well. And it's worked out so well. I've written Just For You, but he wrote My Joy. So I interpreted it my way, which sounds a little bit different, but the skeletal body is his, and I would still say that he wrote the song, even though I played it completely different. It's got a different, it's a different approach. It's a different approach, but generally speaking, most of the songs are written by myself.
In his repertoire, Isaiah weaves together elements of soulful jazz with African beats and rhythms. Whenever he performs, he is comfortable with the tempo and a wide variety of musical styles, from classical to African jazz to gospel. Isaiah is a fine player with enthralling sound, influenced partly by other instrumentalists who often caress melodies, putting a lot of emotion into his solos.
I consider people's enthusiasm and connection to their instrument, if they can communicate through the instrument what they feel about the song. And secondly, the experience. attitude. You know, being gifted is not enough. The attitude, the way you communicate. So John Bash, we've always been friends. He understands me. He knows me. The guy on the drums is wonderful. Shaba. He's very humble, yet very skillful. He knows what you have to, or he will also ask you, is it right? Is it sounding good? Or is it, you know, rather than thinking I am the drummer, I am in the office, so I know what is right, you know. My friend Charles on the bass is good. He has always had me get on to step, you know.
This singular mix of influences characterizes Isaiah's instantly recognizable and individual style. In 2001, Isaiah released his first album that featured tracks like We Will Worship You, King of Kings, I Will Do Anything, just to mention but a few. Since then, Isaiah has released 5 more albums such as Celebrate Africa, Sax Hymns, and his 2 cherished Sinza and Coming Home. Isaiah's glorious touch takes our old favorites and gives them a whole new meaning, a new perspective, making music to fall in love with all over again. This is typical of the 7 melodic album Sinza, which is undeniably Isaiah's favorite.
I think Sinza is an album that I can really put in there and I say, yes, I feel I've done something. Although the next album is going to be much better, of course that's the journey, but Sinza will always remain Sinza.
The album also features tracks like I Have a Friend, Nonya Yesu, Omoyo, Tukutendereza and Sinza, which is his first release of the album. As he is listed at the top of the contemporary jazz charts and is identified with jazz in the minds of the mass public, Isaiah is classified as jazz.
He's an all-round man. Plays jazz, is playing classical, is playing each and every stuff. So he's just an all-rounder, you could say him.
If he plays his saxophone and you are outside, out of the door, you may think Ken G is around, you know. He's good.
Now based in the United Kingdom, Isaiah is currently working on his upcoming album entitled Coming Home. The album will also be featuring tracks like Just For You, My Joy, Smile, Welcome and Sinza, his first release of the Sinza album. This is an album that keeps on giving. Its honesty and diversity will keep you addicted for a long, long time. Isaiah has his goals set and refuses to think about any impediment along the way.
I play all styles, but there's a style that you know that this is Isaiah, you know, but yet I will play other styles that, you know, you've had before. So being unique is also very important, and also not allowing anything to distract you from what you want. That's one thing I've learned. I know where I'm going, nobody can tell me I can't make it.
Isaiah is also a family man, married to Sheila and blessed with a lovely son. Behind this wind instrumentalist also lies a former national champion of badminton, which sport has turned into Isaiah's fun game. Whether he's playing a passionate ballad or dazzling us with a charged performance, Isaiah remains one of the most dynamic performers of contemporary jazz times.
introduce today Blue 3 N-A-V-I-O and Navio, ladies and gentlemen. Please report to the dance floor. Okay, yo, 1, 2, 3, and up. Let me see you burn. Make it burn, make it burn. Let me see you burn. Make it burn, make it burn. Pass the water, bring the hose. Me I'm burning. Bring
I desire my fire and my wire. Oh, Jangweno, tone kaona ngenua. Ibigambo bingi, naye nze nasima kwe. Jangweno, tone kaona ngenua. Bogedde bingi, naye nze nasima kwe. Mpulira bulungi ng'oli nange, mbeera bubi bwesikulabako, kati ntuno wansiba ndi muto, kati nkuze naye akuze, tonsuubira kukwerabira, ngagenda efansa wabitwala, kyenkusaba guma nange, omutima gwange gukakanye.
This is NTV.
Welcome to this edition of the Art and Design Show. In the show tonight, we experience art through the eyes of a teenager. and pay tribute to the son of Africa and the legacy that he leaves behind. These and more stories coming up. Many a time we have featured art and experiences of grown-ups. Today we bring you art through the eyes of a teenager. At the recent art exhibition by the Rainbow International School at Afro Art Gallery, we got to see that art is not trained but guided.
It's a variety of work really, which is, you've got some abstracts, you've got some realism, and really a variety of media ranging from chalk pastels, you've got work from oil paint, watercolor, acrylic, pretty much name it. The particular theme is simple but nice. I think that's what I'd prefer to call it. Because I thought, let's first keep it something which is pleasing to the eye. Nothing too complicated and nothing very specific. The idea was that to the children, I told them, as far as I'm concerned, work which is presentable and work which is good to see will be exhibited. So we're not very restrictive in what we're using.
But what does it take to teach art? This is what Jeremy tells us, the head of the Art and Design Department at the International School.
There's a certain positiveness that the children have and the enthusiasm. And that, I think that for me really summarizes what it means to the children. So for example, let's say in a week when you say, this week we're not going to be having art, you can actually see the children, they want their subject. They really enjoy coming to the classroom. They enjoy participating because there's variety. Because, there's something for everybody.
Art avails room for the children to use imagination and exploration as keys to creativity. It is the process of exploring and creating rather than the finished product that is most important for these young artists.
If you look and see what sort of work the children are producing at, let's say, year 13, which is just before they join the university, the work is very mature. It's first of all very mature, it's very individual, it's very creative. And I think that's because of the foundation that's set right from the beginning.
Creativity also focuses on the process of forming original ideas. In children, the aspect of creativity develops from their experiences with the process rather than concern for the finished product, although some have really created some amazing pieces.
This particular piece here is by one of our old students. She's called Rona Barugare, who actually I think in my 5 or 6 years at Rainbow has really been the most exceptional student. This particular theme was something to do with animal conservation, or rather environmental conservation. So in this piece here, we went down to the abattoir down on Bugolobi Road. And this is the piece which she captured of a carcass. And I found it quite fascinating. This is by an old student called Letitia Wu, who was also another very inspiring student. And as you can see, this is an abstract piece with lots of vibrant colors. This is, in this particular case, this is oil on back cloth. And as you can see, the student really actually thought quite well about the results. And a pretty impressive piece of work.
By exposing children to creative experiences, we give them the gift of a rich and memorable childhood while laying the foundation for a lifetime of creative expressions.
Accessibility to good materials. Good materials, that's definitely one thing. Although I must say in Rainbow we're a bit lucky because the school does actually really provide some pretty good materials, and that's reflected in the sort of work that the children produce. Actually, one of the things we intend to do through this exhibition is to take art in Rainbow to another level. We're looking at developing modern art, because as much as we have a variety, I still think we're a little bit too much focused on two-dimensional work. So I'm thinking of looking at things like maybe video, video motion production. I'm looking at things like kinetic art. I'm looking at things like maybe producing magazines, something which is a little bit more first of all, hands-on, a little bit more modern.
Fabric, form, color, line, texture, and seasons are fundamental requirements for fashion and style. Tonight on The Flair, we meet Ruthie Tina Chibirige, the director of Tina International School of Beauty, a trained designer, beauty therapist, and hairdresser. The school, which is a first of its kind in Uganda, is aiming to raise the productivity of youth and adults in the community, at the same time improve the fashion industry in the country.
The purpose of starting this school was to train young people, men and women, who were left out by society, whom the society thought they were dropouts, school dropouts. If somebody could not do well in mathematics or geography or history, then they could think that, oh, this is, she cannot make it. So by starting the school, we give them skills. We give them skills in beauty therapy. We give them skills in hairdressing, skills in flower arrangement, interior designing, and the biggest is the fashion designing.
She narrates to us the process of what it takes to be able to make that shirt, dress, and anything that you have been admiring for so long.
They learn about different stitches. So when they go to using the machine to apply, they know that this kind of stitch I'm applying here is called this name. So from there they make a file, what we call a portfolio, and then they go to baby wear, whereby they do all children's wear from a 0-year-old baby to 11, 12 years. And then from there they move on to women clothes, everything about women, skirts, blouses, different designs, round skirt, straight, pleated. And from there then they move on to drafting. They do pattern cutting, and this is on paper, whereby now somebody sits down, they think of a fashion or a design, they create it on paper, as in sketch. They sketch it, then they print it as the would-be dress at the time of finishing. And then after sketching, they draft it, and then they cut the material exactly as what's on paper. So from there, they do menswear, and bridal wear is the last one.
The fundamentals of constructing garments starts with pattern and fabric selection. Then the students start on the professional techniques of sewing and stitching the clothes together.
We use anything that we find, from paper to banana fiber, because with fashion designing is not limited to anything. So you can use whatever you find. With paper, we use it to create earrings and necklaces and all that. There is a way we use it. And with materials, when it comes to stitching the actual dresses or trousers or anything, we can use from backcloth, mats, the mats which are already made, and then we cut them out and then make a garment. We use all the types of materials in the shops.
Since its inception in 1995, the school has trained a number of people who have excelled and made their mark with a specific trend in this burgeoning fashion industry in Uganda.
We've got several in town who are coming up, who are doing well. There is Daphne, she's specialized in Afrocentric designs, and she's located right opposite the school. Those people who know where the school is, that girl called Dube. She's been designing for most of the stars in town, the singers and all that. We have Latif Kasumba went through here. He was talented, but then he also went through here, through the school, and completed his studies. And then at one time he was also an instructor in this school. There is one called Fatina. They are down on Kampala Road before Fidodido building. That's where their boutique is.
Ruthie adds that each student, even after just one study module, can be able to engage in the fashion industry and sustain themselves.
Right from week one, when somebody enrolls with us, they start with hand stitches. That's where they learn how to use hand needles and material. They get acquainted with that, so that if somebody does not get a job like a pattern maker or so, they can still go in a factory where they produce maybe mass designs, and they can still stitch on the buttons. They do the buttonholes. As much as we have the machines doing that, but still we want them to know how to use that by hand.
Fashion design is one of the careers selling fast. Ruthie tells us how it's important for the students to learn the basics as compared to fashion trends and the challenges faced.
We had so many people out there claiming to have gone through the school, not only through fashion designing department, but even other departments. So you find that they do things which are substandard, and you get calls from people. Oh, I've got a person here, she said she's trained with Tina School of Beauty, but she has done this kind of mess. So that's another challenge. We don't know how to will control all that, because most people these days it's trendy. Where did you learn this? Yes. Where did you go? I went to Tina. But there are so many other schools. So people lie that they have really done the courses in order to get some jobs, but then when they go out there, they mess up.
With all the vast experience in fashion and design, she tells us about people who lift her spirits up.
As in the fashion world, I'm inspired by Dorothy Perkins' designs. Her designs are always conservative, but trendy. They don't flatter. They don't. Whichever age somebody uses, whichever age uses her designs, they always fit right and they always look good.
There you have it. Next time you're thinking of adding some skills to your daytime job or vacation, fashion and style is definitely the way to go.
These days, the past few, like 8 months or so, long and African print has come back big time. Like before, like last year or 2 years ago, people were more into exposing their bodies, the so-called Kondi show. Even in Europe, they have gone back to to long gowns, ballroom gowns. Because if you watch the awards, the Academy Awards and other functions the celebrities go to, you find that almost everybody is in a long dress, flailing, and some of them, okay, they show the back or too bare-chested, but the long dresses are now back on trend.
A distinctive character of modern-day fashion remains its functionality. Recently, the German embassy commemorated the German National Day by screening an Oscar award-winning movie, Lives of Others. A story from the heart of the East African regime is an intensely gripping thriller and moving love story.
Sie sind zu spät. Entschuldigen Sie, Genosshauptmann, ich bin in so eine Rotphase geraten, da kann man leicht mal 4 Minuten verlieren. Wissen Sie ja, wie das ist. Oh, die sind ja schon bei der Sache. Das gibt's ja gar nicht. Diese Künstler.
Set in the mid-1980s East Berlin, it is the story of a playwright who must decide what to do with his art, and the secret police were trying to decide if he is a threat.
Hauser hat dreimal angerufen und ihm davon erzählt.
Wiesler, das ist jetzt sehr, sehr wichtig. Für meine Karriere und für deine Karriere.
Just before it was screened, we got to talk to the deputy head of mission, German embassy, who told us what the movie is all about.
And this film is about life in the former eastern part of Germany, which I said was rather unfree. It's about an officer of the secret police. They spied on everybody who was not loyal to the regime. And in this film, an officer of the secret police is asked to spy on a playwright. But the reason why he got this order is this playwright has a very nice girlfriend. And the Minister of Culture is somehow in love with this girlfriend. So he looks for a reason how to get rid of this man and how he could then be the new boyfriend of this nice and pretty woman.
Ich kann es mir nicht nehmen lassen, heute Abend noch auf das Wohl unserer Kulturschaffenden zu trinken.
The drama communicates the fear of loss of privacy, loss of enthusiasm in people's talents, and the fear of a watchful state to all human beings, no matter the country.
Is it good to be loyal to a regime which spies on everybody, which offers you a life which is not really free? Actually, the main character is loyal to the regime. He doesn't like how you lead your life in that country. He sees that a friend of his is mistreated and he commits suicide.
Ja? Georg? Ja, Werner. Was ist denn? Ja, es geht Jeska. Ist tot, hat sich gesagt, hängt.
Although it was released in March 2006, every piece of the movie, from the sets, costumes, acting, to writing, to the color palette, were executed at an incredibly high level, typical of the 1980s.
It's over 20 years ago, and you hardly remember the way you were dressed. They put an effort to make it look real, and real for Eastern Germany, because it was more difficult to get very trendy clothes. People always were dressed a bit different than in the West. Jeans was difficult to get because it was capitalistic, and that's why you didn't wear it.
Du weißt nicht, was gut für dich ist. Sei unbesorgt. Pass schon auf dich auf. Nächsten Donnerstag im Metropol. Wahnsinn.
Makes you think about what would I have done in such a situation? Would I have just obeyed, even so I don't agree what they're doing, or would I have been courageous and tried constructively to find another solution to help to change the situation? Would I have participated in these peaceful demonstrations? Would I have been a secret police officer? These questions you ask, and I think that's for everybody in your daily life. It's questions you should ask.
Dreimann?
Okay, wie versprochen. Paul wäre drüben.
Überhaupt keine Kontrolle?
Nein, keine besonderen Kontrollen. Nur das Übliche. So schlimm sind die Jungs da gar nicht. Also, er wäre drüben.
Dann danke ich Ihnen vielmals, dass Sie das für uns gemacht haben.
Ach, keine Ursache. Die Gefahr war nun wirklich nicht so groß.
Ja, das stimmt auch wieder.
Okay.
Ja, gut, dann bis bald. Vielen Dank.
Tschö.
Bob Marley is to Jamaica as Lucky Dube is to Africa. On October 18, 2007, Lucky Dube was killed in the Johannesburg suburb of Rostenville. Police reports suggest that the musician was shot dead by carjackers. Tonight, we remember the son of Africa and pay tribute to him and the legacy that he leaves behind. He was born on the 3rd day of August 1964. His parents separated before his birth and he was raised by his mother, who named him Lucky Dube because she considered his birth fortunate after a number of failed pregnancies. Lucky Dube spent much of his childhood with his grandmother, and in a 1999 interview, he described his grandmother as his greatest love, who multiplied many things to bring up this responsible individual. As a child, Dube worked as a gardener but later joined a choir with some friends, formed his first musical ensemble called the Skyway Band. Although Dube was still in school, the band recorded material in Johannesburg during his school holidays. All subsequent albums were recorded as Lucky Dube. By this time, Dube began to note that fans were responding positively to some reggae songs he played during live concerts. Drawing his inspiration from Jimmy Cliff and Peter Tosh, he felt the socio-political messages associated with Jamaican reggae were relevant to a South African audience in an institutionally racist society. He decided to try reggae and in 1984 released the mini-album Rastas Never Die. Keen to suppress anti-apartheid activism, the regime banned the album in 1985. However, he was not discouraged and continued to perform the reggae tracks live and wrote and produced a second reggae album. Dube continued to release commercially successful albums, which saw him win awards both in Africa and beyond. In addition to performing music, Dube was a sometime actor, appearing in feature films such as Voice in the Dark, Getting Lucky, and Lucky Strikes. Lucky Dube is survived by his wife Zanele and his 7 children. He is gone, but his presence will always be in our midst for years. May his soul Rest in peace. That is the end of the Art and Design show today. For comments and suggestions, do email us at artanddesign@ntvuganda.co.ug. Until next week, nice viewing.
This is NTV.
The mountain gorilla is considered endangered species, with only about 720 mountain gorillas left in the world. And these live within 4 national parks split into 2 regions: Bwindi Impenetrable Forest National Park, Mahinga Gorilla National Park in Uganda, Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, and Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The gorilla is the largest of all living primates and has a robust build with long muscular arms, a massive chest, and broad hands and feet. It has longer and darker hair than other species, allowing it to live and travel at high altitudes where temperatures drop to below 0 degrees Celsius. The gorillas can be identified by nose prints unique to each individual. Male mountain gorillas stand up to an average height of 6 feet and weigh from 400 to 500 pounds, that is 227 kilograms, making them the largest of the great apes. Adult males are called silverbacks because they develop a streak of silver hair on their backs with maturity. The silverback is the leader and the ultimate protector of his band. The mountain gorilla is most active between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Most of this time is alternated between foraging, eating, and resting. They are herbivores and consume large amounts of vegetation. Adult males can eat up to 34 kilograms of vegetation a day, while a female can eat as much as 18 kilograms. Females reach breeding age at about 10 years old. They typically bear young every 4 to 5 years, giving birth after a gestation period of 8 to 9 months. The mountain gorilla is generally shy but highly social and lives in relatively stable, cohesive groups of up to 35 individuals. These groups are made up of 1 silverback, 1 or 2 blackbacks, a few mature female juveniles, and infants.
This is NTV.
Today on Showcase Uganda, we turn our sights to the northern part of the country, and our travels will culminate in Arua district. Historically, Arua district was originally part of the then West Nile district comprised of Arua itself, Nebi, and Yumbe districts. Arua district borders the districts of Yumbe in the northeast, Adjumani in the east, Nebi in the south, Sudan in the north, and the Democratic Republic of Congo in the west. It is the first time for Showcase Uganda to take the Bombo Road, which is also known as the Arua Pakwach Road. As we travel through Masindi district, we're enthralled by the vast plains which stretch as far as the eye can see. We're once more filled with wonder at the unique diversity of Uganda's topography. The road between Bombo and Kafu River is both rough and bumpy, as there are constructions along this part of the route. However, travelers needn't worry, as this changes shortly. Our first stopping point is at the Kafu River. As we stand by the bridge, we're impressed by the splendid river. For travelers traversing this region, culinary delights common at this spot are the delicious soft-roasted cassava, goat, and beef, amongst others. Besides the food at hand, this point also marks a cultural launch of what to expect from the region, as the people are all warm and welcoming. We take to the road again, and after a while, we drive into the rural Bweyali township, characterized by small retail shops. We're immediately struck by the vast amount of cassava being packed, an indicator to the region's main agricultural food crop. It is also reflective of the region's climate and soils, which favor the growing of cassava. After driving 247 kilometers from Kampala, we arrive at Karuma Falls. According to popular folklore, the name Karuma Falls rose from a belief that Karuma, the agent of a certain great spirit, placed the stones that break the waters in the river. For so doing, he was applauded by his masters who, to reward his services by an appropriate distinction, allowed the stones to be called Karuma. These dazzling falls are quite a landmark. Historically, British explorer John Speke passed by the falls on his way to locate the source of the Nile. It is quite redeeming and pride-invoking to find an outstanding landmark which has not been named after a British royal or explorer. From here, the sprays of the white water run towards Sudan, where the White Nile merges with the Blue Nile. Not too far in the recent past, these falls marked the boundary between safety and danger, as the infamous LRA made this part of the highway insecure. As we enter the final stage of our journey along the silky smooth road which crosses the spectacular falls, lovely green scenery comprising a natural habitat of flora and fauna punctuates our cruise. Lively are the enchanting baboons along the road. They frolic beside the road with their young ones, enjoying the natural wonders this spot offers. Meters from our destination, we passed through the awesome walls of the Arua Bridge. Quite a giddying experience. Finally, we enter Arua town. When Showcase Uganda returns, we experience the unique culture of the Lubara. On arrival, the only thing on our minds is to find lodging because it's late and we're tired. It's a 3-kilometer drive off Arua town to our destination, White Castle Cottages, where we intend to spend the night. The hotel is a comfortable place to unwind as it offers self-contained rooms, each with satellite TV facilities. The establishment also boasts conference rooms and a swimming pool. We check in and then retire for the night. At daybreak, we decide to make an early start. Breakfast is served. As we enjoy our first bite of the day, we're fired up with anticipation of a fruitful day ahead of us, promising to unveil various mysteries behind these acclaimed stalwart Ugandans. Our first visit is to Arua town, the main administrative and commercial center of the district. The total land area of Arua district is 5,419 square kilometers, of which 5,208 square kilometers is arable land and the rest wetland. This part of the country can be accessed by both road and air. The district has a functioning airfield that handles most of the flights to the region. The journey by air on average takes 40 to 45 minutes from Entebbe and will cost you about 380,000 shillings. The Civil Aviation Authority has designated the airfield an international point of entry and exit. On a normal day, there are 2 flights. Travelers intending to travel by road to the region are advised to use Arua Pakwach Road. By bus, the fare to the district is between 20,000 to 25,000 shillings. The journey is a 5 to 6 hour drive, depending on your speed, and the bonus is that the tarmac road is generally smooth. According to the provisional results of the 2002 National Population and Housing Census, the district has a total of 855,055 people, with 445,852 females against 409,203 males. As we enter Arua town, we're astonished at the onslaught of cyclists. Both men and women, young or old, participate in this activity, displaying all the sizes and models of bicycles. In fact, just like the case in Jinja, bicycles are a major means of transport this town has to offer. The phenomenon resembles a Tour de France in action. Arua is home to former President of Uganda, the late Idi Amin Dada, who ruled the country from 1971 to 1979. Life in this town is a hectic mix as the district is home to a diverse ethnic grouping. Prominent among them are the Lubara. Others include the Alur, Mahdi, Arabs, Lendu, and Sudanic groups. The society is multilingual, with its diverse people coexisting peacefully. Nestled within this town is Arua Market. It's an organized market for both food crops produced in this area and other domestic commodities. Like many districts of Uganda, the economy of Arua district is dependent on agriculture. Because of the fertile soils in this region, food crops like beans, maize, sorghum, millet, groundnuts, peas, and different fruits are commonly grown. Early in the day, and we stand by our plan, which is Showcase Uganda, spending a day with the major tribe in the region, the Lubara. Like in most African families, extended families are very common here. And because of the unbearable heat, most homesteads here are mud and grass thatched. Here, generations live together in a few huts surrounding each other, either on the same compound or spreading out within the clan land segment. According to this tribe, kinships are comprised of the husband, wife or wives, children, uncles, aunties, cousins, grandparents, and grandchildren. Since agriculture is the backbone of the economy of the district, over 90% of the households depend on subsistence farming as their major source of income. On a normal day, just like in most rural African homes, women who are the most employed in this sector will wake up early and go to the garden. Wives and wives of relatives gather for communal sharing like this, which is on a rotational basis. Used are rudimentary, like hoes and the famed kokoro. The main food crops here include cassava, beans, simsim, sorghum, millet, and peanuts. Cash crops grown in the region include tobacco and coffee. There are 2 harvesting seasons for coffee annually. Harvesting, or coffee picking, is done mostly by the women, as well as the drying, while the men play their part in selling the coffee. A kilo of coffee goes for 2,500 shillings, depending on how the season has gone. Later in the day, at around 1 to 2 p.m., they'll return home with what has been harvested. This time, it's beans. The beans are first dried in the sun to make the covers brittle. After that, they're thrashed to remove the covers. Winnowing is then done to get rid of all the impurities, and the beans are then ready for storing and cooking. Next on Showcase Uganda, we enjoy one aspect of Uganda's culture that is still treasured by both natives and visitors to the country. After a long day out in the fields, we have to invigorate ourselves with enyasa. Enyasa is a traditional local food here. It is a mixture of either sorghum or millet flour with cassava, similar to what is known as akaro, amongst other Ugandans. Usually, this local food is taken with a local sauce or chakucha, which is a mixture of simsim paste with peas or beans. Next, we prepare for the most exciting part of our culture, the dance. The first phase is makeup. The dancers get ready by taking a mixture of simsim and jelly and decorating the upper parts of their bodies. The women then adorn themselves with colorful beads around their necks to complete the effect. Our expectations are running high as we get ready to savor the Lubara dances. This particular dance, which is a courtship dance, reflects the transition from the dance movements of the Lubara to those of their neighbors, the Congo style of dancing. Agwara is a dance from the Lubara and Kebu people in the West Nile region, bordering the Congo and the Sudan. The dance got its name from the Agwaras, the local trumpets. The men play these horns as the women dance. After such a rewarding culmination of the day's events, we retire, ready to take on the next day's adventures in the Nile region.
This is NTV.
That we are proposing life imprisonment or hanging.
Tightening the noose.
MPs propose life in prison punishment for those implicated in graft in the public sector.
Yes. Kill them. Tonight is the punishment meted out by our courts of on corruption suspects too lenient.
Well, some members of parliament certainly seem to think so, and are of the view that the laws should be reviewed to make corruption a very expensive affair.
And this comes on the day when a former State House official pleaded guilty to a corruption charge and was fined 20 million shillings.
Tonight on NTV Poll, we seek your views on the laws on corruption. Should they be made tougher? Be sure to have your say.
Good evening and a warm welcome to Tuesday edition of NTV Tonight. Let us now have a look at the rest of the headlines.
Guilty as charged. Former State House official Alice Kaboyo convicted after pleading guilty to corruption charge.
All set for the Shaka municipality by-election as security is heightened ahead of tomorrow's voting.
And a royal visit. Japan's Prince Akishino and his wife arrive in Uganda for a 3-day visit. Good evening and thank you for joining us here on NTV Tonight. I am Faith Ariho.
And I am Gabriel Epeno. Now, any minister or government technocrat or investor who will negotiate an oil deal that could potentially cause financial loss to the government could be liable to life imprisonment or even face the death penalty.
This was among the key proposals made by MPs on the Natural Resources Committee while scrutinizing the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Bill 2012.
Now, in their report that will be presented to the whole House soon, the MPs also want to introduce a proposal to enable MPs to amend other corruption-related laws to enable such penalties to be extended to all government sectors.
Now, Agnes Nandutu has the top story.
There have been widespread allegations of corruption within the oil sector, with government ministers and officials implicated.
Now MPs are debating what penalties can be implemented in order to curb ministers and government technocrats from conniving with foreign oil companies in writing and signing bad deals and agreements for their self-interests and cause financial loss to government. MPs are proposing tough penalties to be contained in the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Bill 2012.
To safeguard the interests of our country and our people, this should be well spelled out that there should not be the same negotiators with the same interests. They should be aware that the penalties are therein.
It is in this light that I'm requesting our legal officer to look at very stringent, punitive, and deterrent punishment. You look at all these options.
They are supposed to be removed from our society. But you see, in China, this is what they did. They hung you. They hung you. You negotiate a bad deal, they hang you. You are in drugs, they hang you. But here, we glorify these rotten people. And I think this is where we put a very high degree penalty. Life imprisonment or death.
Not only our technocrats, civil servants and the rest, it includes those who are coming to get involved, those who are signing the contracts, those who are coming as investors. And we should be very clear that if we're dealing with this issue and dealing with specific offenses, it will not be only the Ugandan technocrats.
The Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, which is scrutinizing the bill, also proposes that such penalties be applied to corruption-related cases across all sectors of the government.
All the corruption in Uganda, across all the board, should have life sentences. That is okay.
MPs are concerned that the existing laws on corruption are weak and create a leeway for the corrupt to steal and pay back part of the stolen money, while the rest of Ugandans suffer because of the corrupt actions. In its current form, the bill does not involve Parliament in the oil sector and also gives a lot of powers to the sector minister to authorize licenses, among others. The MPs are now moving to give Parliament the oversight powers in the sector and also relieve the minister of the overwhelming powers. This might look stringent to human rights activists, but MPs say if passed into law, it will be a milestone to 9th Parliament to save trillions of money that end up in individual pockets of corrupt government officials. Agnes Nandutu, NTV, Parliament.
This story forms the basis upon which we engage you tonight in our NTV poll this evening. Would like to hear your view on this issue. Do you support the proposal that any official who negotiates an oil deal that causes financial loss to the public should be liable to life imprisonment or even a death penalty? Do you support the proposal that any official who negotiates an oil deal that causes financial loss to the public should be liable to imprisonment or face the death penalty?
To have your say, text 8778 followed by yes and a no, as well as your name and where you're texting from, and we shall be reading some of your comments during tonight's newscast, as well as bringing you the final poll result for tonight.
Okay, moving on now. Former State House aide Alice Kaboyo has pleaded guilty to charges of producing false documents and abuse of office in the case where she and 3 former health ministers are accused of misappropriating 1.6 billion shillings meant for the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, or Gavi fund. The case is currently being heard at the Anti-Corruption Court. Between 2000 and 2007, Uganda received over $87 million from Gavi in support of a national immunization plan. An IGG investigation report released in April of 2007 implicated the 3 former ministers, Ms. Kaboyo and others, in gross mismanagement and abuse of the funds. Maurice Ocho reports from the Anti-Corruption Court.
The mood was tense at the court as the trial of one of the accused began. Alice Kaboyo pleaded guilty to 4 counts, which included forgery of documents. Kaboyo admitted writing to former Health Minister Jim Mwezi requisitioning for over 500 million shillings allegedly for national youth health programs. She received 250 million shillings of the requisitioned money. Magistrate Akawungeezi said she had been lenient with Kaboyo because she admitted she returned the money. Kaboyo's lawyer Bob Kasango argued that the accused, despite defying the guidelines of the Gavi funds, there were no laws that could tantamount to a crime being committed in this case. Kaboyo and 3 former health ministers are accused of misappropriating 1.6 billion shillings meant for the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. Mwezi and Mukula allegedly stole 210 million shillings according to the charge sheet. Prosecution was taken over by the Director of Public Prosecution after the Constitutional Court in another case stopped the Inspectorate from conducting prosecution because it was not fully constituted. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
Now, the newly elected Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Margaret Ziwa, has promised to push for the realization of the East African Political Federation during her 5-year tenure. Ziwa was this afternoon addressing journalists soon after she arrived from Arusha at Entebbe International Airport. Hundreds of supporters welcomed her at Entebbe, and thereafter Thanksgiving prayers over her victory have been held at Lugogo Cricket Oval. Jingo Francis reports.
Thank you very much, my chairman. Thank you, thank you. Oh.
By 2 p.m., Ziwa landed at Entebbe International Airport. She returns from Arusha, Tanzania, after a hotly contested and controversial race with Dola Byamukama, both NRM stalwarts. Ziwa defeated Byamukama with 33 votes to 12 votes, leaving members of the NRM party split.
What is going to divide us the more is the cliques and hypocrisy amongst the top ranking people.
The candidate referred to has shook hands with the speaker, and I think it is the right thing that is coming up. To me, I think we shall be able to work together.
Ziwa recognized Nusula Tiperu, Chris Opoka and Lydia Wanyoto, who helped to deliver her to this prestigious regional position.
She's my hero. My nominator.
Last week, Arusha was treated to drama and tension from supporters of the two candidates. President Museveni said the party did not endorse an official candidate, but Ziwa says it's Museveni and her NRM party that it has enabled her to become Yara's first female speaker.
This is attributed to the good leadership and support of the party leader, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Ziwa's husband, Captain Francis Babu, was too present to witness the family dream come true. Ziwa says in her tenure as a Speaker of Yara, regional laws will take precedent over partner state laws.
I'm going to ensure that the Assembly remains independent, that it remains strong and true to the ideals and ideas of the East Africans. It is important to note that the laws enacted by the East African community have the full force of law and take precedence over similar laws in the partner states on matters related to the community.
She will also ensure that the customs union, monetary union, and the political federation are fully implemented.
During my tenure, I will work tirelessly to enable or to ensure that the prerequisites which are necessary for the monetary union, particularly the legal framework, is in place to support this monetary union, and later also to ensure that the political federation legal framework is enacted.
And thereafter, she was welcomed by hundreds of her supporters before she was whisked away in a new Mercedes-Benz in a convoy from the airport to Lugogo Cricket Oval for prayers. Finally, the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Margaret Ziwa, has arrived in Uganda, and in her maiden speech, she is promising to deliver the political federation in her tenure. Jingo Francis, NTV.
Security has been heightened in Ishaka Municipality, Bushenyi District, ahead of tomorrow's parliamentary by-election as the campaigns gain momentum. A police chief, Lieutenant General Kale Kaihura, has camped in the district to monitor the security situation and has warned that whoever was planning to disturb the peace will be dealt with accordingly. Here is Julius Senkandwa.
The police chief, who is now camped in Bushenyi, says he will not hesitate to arrest whoever tries to cause havoc during the polling exercise.
For us, the interest is to make sure that the electoral process is free and fair. The issue is an electoral process and the atmosphere.
Kihura says he has received some information that there's a group of youths who are planning to intimidate voters.
The most unacceptable thing is to intimidate voters. That you bring kanyamas, you line them up on the streets, and you intimidate them from voting. Who are you? In whose name are you doing this?
There are also reports of ferrying in people from other areas.
They are going to end up in Ruzira, I can tell you. You kanyamas, stop being hired.
Police are understood to have beefed up their presence in the entire municipality.
I've advised these people, we have reinforced them. I am here. And I walk, you know me, I like walking.
The 4 candidates vying for the municipality parliamentary seat include NRM's Nassa Basajja Balaba, FDC's Odo Tayebwa, Robert Bwarare and Ismail Chikure, both independent candidates.
We have gone through processes to make sure that we do as a commission what is required of us. That is to conduct free and fair elections.
Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
It's time for a short break right now, but here's what you can expect after we return in just a while.
The debate over Muslim marriages is reignited amidst calls for one marriage certificate for all 4 Muslim women married to one man.
And on the farm this week, we meet Henry Luanga reaping big rewards from cocoa farming. NTV Tonight continues after this short break. See you shortly.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
Welcome back. We start with a reminder of our NTV poll question for tonight and some of your responses. Tonight we ask, do you support the proposal that any official who negotiates an oil deal that causes financial loss to the public should be liable to life imprisonment or even face the death penalty? Do you support the proposal that any official who negotiates an oil deal that causes financial loss to the public should be liable to imprisonment or hanging?
Well, to have your say, text 8778, then yes or no, and followed by your name and where you are texting from. Let's now take a look at some of your comments so far.
Okay, Rodney Amanya Mishambi, you say, I go with death. It seems very harsh, but it will get these corrupt officials to start thinking straight.
And Okia Marvin here says, they should be dealt with. It's high time Ugandans critically manage and protect what belongs to Ugandans.
Well, expectedly, an overwhelming number of respondents so far are in favor of stringent punishment for the corrupt. Actually, 88% of you are saying yes, they should be liable for their corrupt ways, while 12% of you so far are saying no.
Well, stay tuned as we shall be bringing you more comments and tonight's final poll result at the tail end of tonight's newscast.
Indeed. Now, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau has today met with members of the Muslim community to explore ways of enhancing the registration and recognition of Muslim marriages.
The Bureau called upon those planning to wait to register all ceremonies and pay for a standardized certificate.
However, some women of the Muslim faith voiced their concern over how they are being catered for.
They are demanding for a system be introduced where one marriage certificate is published bearing the full names of one man's wife.
Florence Naruimba reports.
Please, change has come and we need to conform to the change, or else we shall be left outside.
News that they are now to be officially registered under laws governing the country by the Uganda Registration Services Bureau has been wholly embraced by women of the Muslim faith.
The fear that arises out for most of these Muslim women is the fact that their men might have other women stashed away.
How are we going to track the information such that I, as a woman, I will know that the man I'm marrying has 2 women so far, has 3 women so far, he has now 4.
For this reason, they want one marriage certificate to cater for 4 women recognized by their faith as belonging to one man and not each having a separate certificate.
It is easy to prove to the whole world in case of contest for succession or something like that, that actually I am not the only wife, there is another wife.
A marriage certificate costs a couple 35,000 shillings, and to a Muslim man with 4 wives that adds up to a total of 140,000 shillings, about $60, a standard fee for all religions. But unlike Christians who are required under law to wed in a registered building before marrying with a couple, Muslims are free to marry anywhere.
Based on the principles of Christianity, which are different from the principles of Islam.
The fears among some Muslims that their laws would be derailed were put to rest. The meeting to discuss adherence to a standardized marriage certificate by the Uganda Registration Services Bureau is aimed at aligning faith with the law. Florence Naliba, NTV.
Visiting Japan royals, His Imperial Highness Prince and Her Imperial Highness Princess Akishino have visited Uganda Museum and Garment Factory Phoenix Logistics on their first day in Uganda. They arrived this morning aboard British Airways at Entebbe Airport, where they were welcomed by the State Minister for International Cooperation, William Okello, and State Minister of Gender, Lukia Nakadama, among other officials. The Prince will hold talks with President Museveni. The Prince's visit to Uganda is his first time on the African continent.
Prince and Princess Akishino arrived at Entebbe Airport this morning and were received by the State Minister for International Cooperation, Henry Okello Oriem, among other government officials. The royals then proceeded to Kampala, where they met with some Japanese nationals and later visited the Uganda Museum and Phoenix Logistics, a garments company owned by Yuichi Kwashiwada, a Japanese national. Trade Minister Amelia Chambade commended the Japanese government for their continued partnership with Uganda over the years.
Japan has carried out vocational training and supporting of teaching of science. It has supported the rural electrification in eastern and central Uganda.
Prince Akishino will also hold bilateral talks with President Yoweri Museveni at State House in Entebbe, and later the royal couple will tour, among others, the new River Nile Bridge project, which will be supported by the Japanese government, and a rice research and training center at Namulonge, also funded by Japan. Despite the massive earthquakes and tsunami that devastated Japan in March last year, the country did not stop aid to Uganda.
Cocoa products ranging from beverages to cosmetics have for a long time been part of many people's lives thanks to the cocoa plant that is the mother of all of them. The plant does well in tropical conditions and does not need so much attention, and is what Henry Luanga of Kasawa village in Mukono district spends his days attending to. In this week on the Farm Feature, we find out how Henry has managed this crop amidst the ever-changing weather patterns due to climate change.
Henry Luanga, a middle-aged professional agriculturalist, is slashing his cocoa garden in Kasawa following a very unstable rainy season that has seen the weeds grow. This is a routine act for him, which he does using this machine that has been of great help because of the expansive farm that is his money maker. So how did it all start for Luanga, who is now passionate about cocoa?
So the farm was started in 1959 with my grandfather, who had the inspiration telling us to grow cocoa such that in the near future we'll be harvesting money, and we are doing it now.
Luanga's farm has since then greatly expanded, and he is now a large-scale farmer growing cocoa for production. He spends his days going through the plantation, pruning and weeding the cocoa, but he makes sure there is careful removal of the older leaves so as not to harm the plants. But the plants have to be strong and healthy to allow this to happen. He has also mixed his cocoa with other crops like bananas and coffee for better land management.
The best areas where cocoa is grown, you can grow it in a coffee plantation. You can grow it in a banana plantation. Already banana was there and coffee was there. Just make lines like these surveyors of 10 by 10 feet. Then you make a planting hole and dig it. So already the cost for land preparation, we had overcome it because it was banana and coffee.
Since cocoa is a caliciphobe, it doesn't like heavy salts in the water, and he relies on rainwater, especially when the soil is dry after a long dry season. The leaves that fall off the trees and the pods too are always used as manure because they fill up the ground cover, something that has kept Henry's farm fertile over the years. His biggest challenge, however, is the constant tree weeds that he cuts off and the mealybug-infected cocoa, which he cuts off to keep the rest of the cocoa on the trunk safe.
There are these pests, the capsid, the mature capsid. When you approach a cocoa tree which is infested, this one they try to hide themselves behind, and they are very smelly. So these pests, the capsid, come, mature one, and suck the flower, causing flower abortion. They can also suck the immature younger pods, also to causing them to die. Even the mature pods are sucked such that you see so many spots around the cocoa pod.
There are also constant thieves that steal the cocoa because of the lack of security, but this has not stopped Henry from reaping big from the cocoa. He sells his cocoa to exporters who come and buy it from him directly at his farm.
I even managed to buy more land. As we shall be going, I will be showing you. establishing another cocoa plantation. We are here. Everything is not bad.
Okay. With his degree in agriculture extension and also the fact that he is an agriculture officer, he has the latest and yet basic technologies that he uses on his farm to maximize the full potential from his cocoa plants.
This is NTV Tonight. We'll take another short break, but I return with business in just a while. Stay with us.
We must give the highest degree of penalty, and it must be on record. For heaven's sake, we have really dilly-dallied with these thugs. These thieves, the vampires, we must do away with them and stop giving them any room like that.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
Welcome to NTV Business. Now, first tonight, the Uganda Revenue Authority is by end of this financial year expected to have gathered at least 6.9 trillion shillings from taxpayers to meet planned expenditure. However, concern among diverse interest groups is that the country's tax base remains extremely narrow, thereby weighing heavily on few ordinary citizens, thus affecting both savings and investments.
With millions of Ugandans across different sectors of the economy on different business platforms, the feeling remains strong that majority of business owners and workers indeed are over-shouldering the tax burden.
It's really important to think about ways to strengthen revenue mobilization. Uganda's revenue performance is really one of the lowest in Africa. And why is that? Well, we've looked at this, and our assessment is that the main explanation, the most important explanation, is that you have a widespread system of tax exemptions, investment incentives, and those, are all done for a purpose, right?
With a target of approximately 6.9 trillion shillings for collection by the Uganda Revenue Authority at the end of this financial year, many enterprise growth experts caution that a very difficult financial year, dominated with high inflation and expensive interest rates, will have an impact on future compliance and thus the need for new investment vehicles.
Mortgages, SMEs, we see
we see business growth loans, all that. NSSF should also come in, liberalize itself, and compete with these banks, whose primary objective is to sell off properties for borrowers. You know, NSSF has that capacity also to do that.
And as many Ugandan taxpayers continue to experience difficulties in actively developing the saving culture, those within the insurance docket that currently stands at nearly 300 billion shillings feel that taking cover for private sector players remains a strategic option.
When you have to pay too much in form of taxes, definitely you think to cut on some other expenditures. But I would urge the insuring public, when they are thinking of where to cut, they should not think of cutting out insurance, because if they do so at their own expense and peril.
However, a cross-section of investment advisors, on the other hand, are arguing that government agencies such as the Uganda Investment Authority too need to shift its focus on how it participates in the investment and trade climate of the economy.
Attract people with cheap money out there, because a lot of money is out there lying redundant, and the investment authority is looking at investors who come here to basically take away money out of the country instead of bringing money inside the country. I think the investment authority should take that leading role to invest, to encourage people or companies that have money out there to bring it in the country so that our people get it.
It's also being pointed out that without reforms that shore up long-term investment prospects in the economy, future tax compliance and indeed growth may be far from being realized. Raina Urgent, NTV Business.
In the financial markets, a number of counters posted gains, pushing up the oil share index by 3 points to 1,020 shillings. We have the details in the financial markets report. And finally, in NTV Business, the slowdown in economic growth and the resultant reduction in demand for credit are posing major challenges to the profitability and general performance of the banking industry this year. According to the Deputy Managing Director, Housing Finance Bank Uganda, Paul Musoke, banks are now hard-pressed to be more creative in the drive to retain some growth. Samuel Setumba with more.
The banks, partly by design, made good profits at the last calendar year, but as things look now, with lending forced down by government monetary policy, business may not be as usual for the banks.
Because there's a liquidity problem in the market, the banks are not really lending. There will probably be a lower dependence or reduction in dependence on lending as a major income generator, and banks will have to be creative to actually find other channels to grow their business, at least for the time being.
The transaction fees from day-to-day expenditure will be a key source for bank revenues. For this reason and others, Housing Finance has partnered with M-Cash, a platform which is not mobile-based, but mimicking the mobile money model to facilitate the holding of virtual accounts.
M-Cash is, as you have understood, comprehensive retail transaction support. You can do many things. It's more of a banking product than a telecom based.
The idea is that people will open up virtual accounts and deposit money on these accounts. They can spend and make payments out of these accounts using a card or fingerprint at points of sales. Banks are waking up to the possibility of being crowded out of the opportunity that technology can provide for operations out of the banking hall. These virtual accounts, however, will be treated like housing finance normal accounts, subject to the known rigors. By extension, the mCash platform will also facilitate diaspora money remittances out of Canada, the US, and the UK.
And that winds up NTV Business for tonight. Join Faith after the break for all the very latest in NTV Sport.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV with Guinness.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. Now, Congo-Brazzaville players are due to arrive in Uganda this Thursday ahead of their 2013 Africa Cup of Nations clash with the Uganda Cranes. Meanwhile, Cranes coach Bobby Williamson hopes to bank on the fans' morale to overcome the Congolese on Saturday.
The Uganda Cranes Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers opponents Congo-Brazzaville have confirmed their arrival this Thursday ahead of the Saturday game at Nambole Stadium. The Congolese touched down at Entebbe Airport at 5 p.m. aboard a chartered plane. The match officials from Morocco are also expected in on the same day. Meanwhile, coach Bob Williamson hopes to bank on the fans' support on Saturday for his boys to overcome the Congolese. The Scottish tactician believes the Cranes will achieve the 2-goals result they need to qualify for the second round of the competition.
We've got to try and throw a bit of caution to the wind and get forward and create chances. And I'm sure with the backing of our fans, the way they support, hopefully we can get those goals.
The camp was boosted by the return of assistants goalkeeper Hamza Muwonge and coach Jackson Mayanja as team captain Ande Mwesigwa and Martin Mutumba continued to train from the sideline. Sam Poza, NTV Sport.
St. Mary's Kitende have started their netball title defense for the National School Bell Games on a winning note after posting a 22-4 goals victory over Hapless Nkoma Secondary School. This year's competitions organized in Mbale town have attracted a total of 150 teams in the field of netball, handball and volleyball. Host school Mbale Secondary School beat Ibuje SS by 15 goals to 3 before Lubiri SS walloped Mbara Army 25-2 goals. Gombe SS hammered West Nile side Paida Secondary School by 27-4 goals as Mbale Progressive made good use of the home ground and beat Trinity College Nabingo by 12-8 goals. Mulaji Girls from Butaleja overcame St. Edward's by 17-7 goals. European football governing body UEFA has charged the Russian Soccer Association after Russian fans were filmed fighting with stadium stewards at the end of a Euro 2012 game. UEFA also is seeking more evidence to investigate reports of alleged abuse directed at Czech Republic players during Russia's 4-1 win in Wrocław on Friday.
4 stewards needed hospital treatment after being attacked by Russian fans at Wroclaw Stadium after the Russia-Czech Republic Euro 2012 clash on Friday. The fight broke out at the Russia-Czech Republic match. A large number of fans in Russia t-shirts attacked security guards, then ran away. A police spokesman also reported a fight in a Wroclaw restaurant between 4 drunken Russians. One of them suffered injuries and was taken to hospital for first aid. Meanwhile, England coach Roy Hodgson says his team's 1-0 draw against group favourites France was a good platform on which to build at the Euro 2012.
Pleased for the players most of all. The conditions were very difficult for both teams, and I thought that both teams actually showed incredible spirit.
In yesterday's clash, both sides enjoyed periods of dominance in an energy-sapping heat in Donetsk, with England taking the lead through Julian Lescott before Samir Nasri equalised. Hodgson says he was pleased at how his side coped against a team unbeaten in 2 years. Finally, yet to kick off tonight is the game between co-hosts Poland and Russia.
And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll now take a look at Wednesday's weather prospects.
Are you ready to drink at the table of men?
Now let's take you back to tonight's NTV poll, and we asked you, do you support the proposal that any official who negotiates an oil deal that causes financial loss to the public should be liable to life imprisonment or even face the death penalty? Well, the final poll result is out. 77% of you that responded are saying yes, while 23% of our respondents tonight are saying no.
Well, now looking at some of your comments, John from Sorority here says, yes, we need harsher penalty for corrupt officials, not only on oil, but all sectors.
Well, Ball Sunday, Jimmy, you say life imprisonment, cancellation of academic papers and auctioning of all their property, not only for those in oil agreements, but for those in any form of corruption as well.
And Sunday from Lugogo kept it short. He said, yes, death penalty is the best because it's too much in Uganda.
Well, Isaac Cunningham, you say death for economic crimes. We are not China, but their properties can be confiscated. Well, thank you once again for all of your comments tonight, and that concludes Monday's NTV Tonight. I'll be back later on with NTV 11 for a final look at the day's news in brief.
Well, today is Tuesday, Gabriel.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. I am Faith Ariho.
And I am Gabriel Penu. Do have yourselves a good night.
This is NTV.